Good evening, all. Ira Epstein with your SPDR-ETF stock market wrap-up, and this wrap-up is for the evening of Thursday, the 7th of March, 2024, just after 6 p.m. Central Time. It never stops. Look at NVIDIA, up to 927 now. Kathy Woods today saying it's overpriced. We are at a zone where it at any point here can start on the way down. All right, well, remember, she missed the whole play on the way up, but that doesn't mean she's wrong. When you look at some of the other parts, Amazon had a very good rally today. That made me smile. NVIDIA made me smile. If you follow my morning SPDR-ETF, this is where I've been hitting the markets, luckily, and doing well. I had trouble in my futures this week. Last Tuesday was the last day that I had some good trades, this past Tuesday, and now I haven't done anything. And you sit back. You know, it's like a ball player. You get in a groove, and the groove has been picking either individual stocks or trying to come into some of these ETFs. And once you're in it, you stay in it, all right? And when you realize you're not there, you go back to the batting cage, work on what you're doing wrong. And that's just how life is in everything. Well, luckily, we've been pretty on the money in this market, but that'll change too. I will get wrong. Now, Rivian had an interesting time in the market. It was up $1.48. What they're doing is they said they're not going to go ahead with their Georgia plant at this point in time. So they're going to save about $2 billion in expenditure. They're coming out with another two versions of cars. Both are going to be less expensive than current versions. They're going to have a $50,000 SUV coming out, and I don't know what the price of the new truck will be, but that's supposed to be lower priced as well. So we'll see. You know, can they hit numbers? That's going to be the big question. Other stocks were mixed. You saw GM down 80 cents, Ford just sort of drifting here. Lyft had a rally the other day, giving back a little bit today. And Microsoft found some footing. Finally, it's been in trouble. AMC, well, it's trading around its 18-day average back and forth. But Chesapeake Energy, so we're trying to double bottom here at the 81.23 level. If it gives ground through there, the question is, can it drift back a little bit? It still has the higher lows and the higher high, and you can see where the averages are. Now, you spent a good amount of time over the 100-day average, and now the market's coming in. The next support zone is the 18-day. Now, as you come back on this, right through here, you had a bullish crossover, but because the 200-day is above you, where are you going with it? That becomes the problem for the market. And you can see how now you're drifting. Maybe you drift back into those averages to try to grab support there. When we take a look at momentum, you lost your bullish momentum. So I can see more of a correction. Natural gas on the futures is correcting as well, so it makes sense. In Lyft, you remember when we were coming down and I said, I've got some doubts now as the market started crisscrossing back up over here. And I said, I've got some doubts that you're going to try to run for that 18-day average at that point. The question is, can it make it to the upper Bollinger Band again? When we take a look at UGA, the gasoline fund, I'm looking for a base to develop out of this. Not for a top, for a base to develop for gasoline for a spring-summer rally. You typically get one. It is still only March 7th. It doesn't feel like it in the United States because it's been so warm, but we're now making our switch. In Chicago, we go to daylight savings time starting on Sunday, so we'll be springing forward in our time. In XLF, well, the market made the highest high and then closed lower today on that move. It still has the embedded reading, but there are so many of these markets that are stretched. Where do you chase it? Where do you put a stop becomes the big question in some of these markets. I'd love to see a 3 to 5% in many of these markets. I think they're in need of it. I don't know where it will come from or why it will come. It'll just eventually come. That's how these things work out. In the industrial sector, going for the highs still. Still looks like a market that is looking at one thing, interest rates, and saying if they're coming down, we should get more demand for goods. In addition, productivity is improved all the way through, and that's very good. They're using less labor to produce more goods. That helps bottom line. In AMC, until the market takes out this low, I'm thinking that what the market's trying to do is build its base to give you a summer spring because why? Well, you're going to get better movies, and that's going to be the key to it. In RSPD, you've got the consumer discretion. It's still higher lows, higher highs. If the red line closes under 79, the odds favor then more of a correction, maybe back to that 48.65 level to try to base there. In the home builders, I have been doggedly bullish on these guys. You've heard me say it all the way through. Haven't changed my opinion in any manner on that. In the energy sector, look at how you're up to the Bollinger Band. Will you embed is the question. To embed, you have to have both numbers over 80 several days in a row. The day before, it was. So you've got Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Unless now you get a reading under 79 in the red number, this market still looks like on breaks, it'll be bought by the pros. You've now got your 5 days in a row up and over the upper Bollinger Band. Futures did the same, and they're starting to move to the right-hand side, but this is bullish. Again, I think you formed a big base in this market, and the question is how high can the gold go and carry this with it? Silver doesn't want to be left behind. It's running at the Bollinger Band, not quite doing the same pattern, but certainly running it a little more in the overbought area. And in the copper market, all the metals are just saying, lower interest rates, better industry, economies are going to come alive if the banks start cutting, and that's making your metal markets want to come alive. In BND, well, you're up to the upper band and you're overbought. I don't change my opinion. If you go back and you look at history, that's a dangerous place to be buying the market. Dollar index now trying to come out of sideways action. As I said, I was hoping it would develop more sideways action. Is this going to be follow through tomorrow where it gets another low close, takes out today's low closes at the bottom of the range? Then until you come back through this high, it's going to look like a top in the dollar on this chart. And the question is, can you flip-flop that in the euro currency? So those are the things that I'll be looking at to see what they do. One of the things I want you to do is look at our free offerings for you, because right here you get a whole group of what we've got going on. So you can get the charts. You can get our writing on the different markets, the charts that we're seeing. And we cover so much. We cover option strategies. We cover spreads, the cash markets, what we think is going to go on. And you'll say, well, Ira, a lot of that's futures. Well, what do you think you're trading when you're trading the stock indices, the metals, the energies? That's what you're doing. All you do is you choose what you want, you put in your name, your email, anything, a message you might have for us, we'll take care of it. And generally within a day or two, business day or two, we'll get everything out to you. In the meantime, you can move your cursor to the top. You can go to iraepstein.com under free offers, and I'll catch you in the morning.